Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Hi, I'm Alison Russell, a P4 student from the University of Iowa College of Pharmacy, and today I'm interviewing Autumn Petersen, who is also a P4 from the University of Iowa. And Autumn is currently on rotation with the FRAY-dirt longitudinal program, and she is on her oncology block. So thank you, Autumn, for joining me today on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Hey, Allison. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So many of these podcasts in the past have been students interviewing residency directors or professors. So I actually wanted to change it up a bit and interview another student for a different perspective. And so I've known Autumn for a while, and she has taken on many great leadership roles. And so I'm sure that you have some great advice for other students as they take on pharmacy school. So to kind of kick it off, I guess, can you just kind of tell me how many leadership positions you have held over the years?
Well, at this point, it's kind of hard to exactly say. I've had quite a few within the College of Pharmacy and also within the community.
So just briefly, not wanting you to, name all these positions, but I guess what are a few positions that you have held?
Well, within pharmacy school, I've been pretty active with APHA, ASP, American Pharmacists Association, Academy of Student Pharmacists, and I was our chapter president as well as our region's member at large, and I'm currently now on the National Award Standing Committee. But within the community, I've also been involved. So I've been on the Student Advisory Committee for Sexual Misconduct, which works with the university to rewrite the sexual assault policy and really disseminate information to students. And I've also worked on the Safety Committee of our graduate and professional student body government, as well as been involved with many other organizations over time.
Awesome. So that's kind of a wide range within themselves. I guess for your positions over the years, have any of them really stood out to you that maybe took the most work?
Definitely, if you want to have a leadership role in any organization, I think that to do a good job, you'll have to put in work. So everything I've done, I feel like I've put a lot of work into it. But being our APHA ASP chapter president has really taken a lot. And currently being on the APHA ASP National Award Standing Committee is a lot of work. We have to read and grade over 100 chapter reports, one for every school of pharmacy in the country, to recognize student pharmacists and their accomplishments.
Wow. And so you said every college pharmacy chapter you write the reports on?
Yeah, we read them all. So each chapter submits a report with everything that they've done over the past year. And we go through them and really take a good hard look and see what they've done so that they can be recognized at our annual meeting.
Right. That's awesome. So then I guess kind of broadening your horizons to being in the know with other colleges as well, which is very cool. Would you say one position over another that you have held has been more rewarding for you?
I think that every position has been rewarding because, like I said before, I really have tried to give my all to every organization that I've been involved in. I'm really passionate about sexual assault and survivor advocacy. So I think being involved with our safety committee and the graduate and professional student body government, and also being involved with the student advisory committee on sexual misconduct have been really fulfilling and valuable to my life.
Very cool. I guess spinning off of that question, so some of these positions are within the College of Pharmacy, some of them are not, but maybe more on the pharmacy side of things. So what do you think the value is in being a leader within pharmacy?
So I think that it's really important to be a leader within pharmacy so that we can really advance our profession as a whole. In order to get our brand out there as pharmacists and show everyone what we can do, we need really strong leaders to advocate for the profession and promote our capabilities and what we can do. You know, being a leader in pharmacy, it's really important to build critical skills like communication, teamwork, and confidence, because that'll allow us to be successful as a whole.
Right. And within pharmacy, so I mean, I know you and some other people within the college that are pretty involved, but of course, there's always a select few, that are very involved. So do you think, I guess, with your work within other schools that is there a lack of leaders within pharmacy, or is it, a Midwest thing, or what do you see, I guess, trending across the schools?
I don't necessarily know if there's a lack of leadership. I definitely think that there is a lack of confidence in our abilities across the board. I think it's really important that moving forward, we all make sure to really represent ourselves in the best light and show other providers what we're capable of and try to get provider status so that we can be reimbursed for what we're doing.
Right, right. So for you personally, so do you think that maybe were you born a leader, or has this been more of a kind of a growing process? I mean, how did that develop?
Well, obviously I was born a leader.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. It's definitely been a learning and growing process. I've had a lot of rejections and a lot of failure over time, but these things have really helped me grow. And with every rejection and failure, it just pushes me to work harder and be more successful.
Right. I think that's such a good tip. It's you get knocked down, but you have to get back up. And I think that a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah,
so good point
absolutely.
there. But so as you have grown, I guess, into this position of just kind of like a leadership personality, would you say that you have a characteristic, or is there some type of characteristic that either you notice in leaders or maybe you think that they should have to be a good leader?
I think that something really important about being a leader is being able to give credit to others, give autonomy to others, and really promote the success of others. If you really think about the growth of any organization or profession, it's when everyone supports each other and works together. So I think being a good leader is really promoting the success of others.
Right. And within organizations, I mean, we always have that one leader, but there's so many people, on the committees and helping within that don't always get the recognition that they deserve, but they're definitely in there working hard.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of the times, those people who are key thought leaders are working behind the scenes tirelessly, but just aren't getting credit. So I think it's really important to continue to encourage those people and build them up.
Right. So you've said, the positions are rewarding and you have enjoyed them in the past. Do you think that being a leader and having these positions has prepared you for, better for jumping into the real world, which for us is going to be really in just 9 short months?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yes and no. So I feel really capable and confident in my abilities to be a leader. But at the same time, with each new experience and each new journey, there are new challenges, which will make it difficult. So I feel prepared in the sense that I'm ready to put myself out there and dive into something new. But at the same time, as I'm sure most people are, I'm a little bit nervous to see what's in store, but mostly excited.
Right. Okay. So I think that some students, entering the College of Pharmacy, or they may be a P2 already, they kind of avoid taking on leadership roles. I mean, they think that they don't have the time or they just won't be able to do the job right. I know everything takes a lot of work in pharmacy school, of course, but how did you personally juggle everything between, working, studying, the social life that we try to have, and then, of course, all the positions as well?
Honestly, it was pretty hard. I really had to sit down at one point and assess my values and my worth and what my long-term goals were. And after I did that, at a point, I was kind of able to refocus my time and my priorities so that I could be successful in what I did. And sometimes it's okay to say no to good things. So, if there was something I wanted to do or go out with my friends, but I had some assignments coming up or something for one of my positions that was due, I had to learn to say, it's okay to say no. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. It's okay to take a step back and even just relax. And I think that that's something that we as pharmacy students often forget. We are always, pushed to be motivated and to be successful and to be really involved. And those are all really positive things. But I also think that it's okay to take a step back and focus on mental health as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think saying no, that's a perfect tip. It's hard we want to take on all the roles and all of the workload and just do it all. We don't want to let anybody down. But yeah, of course, we have to pick and choose at some point. But yeah, learning to say no, definitely tough.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because, sometimes you might let someone down if you do say yes, and then you don't do a good job. So it's really important to take that step back.
Right. For sure. So I imagine, being a leader in multiple positions can be tough. And then, of course, difficult situations come up with being a leader at times. So in your experience, what has been the most difficult situation that you have had to deal with?
So there have been a few difficult situations. I think that something that I have always struggled with is people who are a part of the team, but always want to go rogue and branch out on their own and not kind of follow the structure or the guidelines that are put in place. Mm-hmm. That's a difficult situation. Absolutely. But I think that there is value in having that kind of person on a team, because that way you're able to take that person and put them in a role that's maybe not quite as structured and more creative, and they're able to be more successful and bring more value to whatever project you're working on at the time. So I've definitely had personal experience working with difficult people, as I'm sure most everyone has.
Right.
But it's important to focus on what their strengths are and maybe find a role or a position for them where they can really be successful.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Kind of, taking their, I don't know if I would say their strengths, but yeah, just, putting their personality into a role that they can use that in. That's really good.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips on managing just difficult situations in general as being in the leader position and kind of overseeing it all, or I guess being in charge of it all?
I think overall it's really important to be cognizant of other people's points of view, because a difficult situation may arise from something as simple as a miscommunication. So it's really important to, meet with a person face to face and deal with the problem pretty immediately so that it doesn't spiral into something different. So I guess my advice would be to immediately address the problem and to be very straightforward with expectations.
Right. I think the straightforward immediately, that's always good. So throughout school, we've been told to be really involved, join as many organizations as you can. And that's really awesome that we have all these opportunities. But they also tell you, you never want to just join an organization to join it. You don't just need that mark on your CV. You just need to join a few and really dedicate your time to these groups. But I've watched you over the years, and you've joined quite a few, and you really put all the time and effort into each and every position or the organization that you're involved in, which is awesome. Do you have any other, tips on just kind of joining organizations or how you feel about that?
Well, thank you. The only tips I really have are find things that you are passionate about, because if you're passionate about what you're doing, none of it will seem like work. And I know that that's really cliche, but it's true. If there's a project that I'm passionate about, I want to go home and work on it. It's not a chore anymore. It's something that I find value in. So it's really important to find things that you are passionate about, find projects that you like doing, and find things that align with your values as a person, because that way you'll be able to, do work and be involved without feeling overwhelmed.
Right. And there's so many opportunities. The University of Iowa, the College of Pharmacy within itself has, so many orgs that we can be involved in, but like you have some others that are without or on the outside kind of, just within the undergraduate college or within the community, things like that. And I think that there's something for everybody. So getting involved in whether it's, pharmacy or not, but still putting yourself out there I think it's great. Everybody can find something.
Yes. and everyone can feel valued somewhere as well.
Yes, for sure. So for students that are maybe coming into pharmacy school, or maybe they're in that first or second year, do you have any advice for them? They maybe are thinking, say, applying for a leadership role, but just kind of on the fence about it. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I know that I've kind of talked about this a little earlier, but really don't be afraid to put yourself out there and take a risk. And it's okay to have failures, because those are all experiences and times to grow. I have not gotten many positions that I've applied for, and that's okay, because a lot of the times it's opened a door for a new position or something that I would enjoy doing even more. So really just don't be afraid to put yourself out there and take that leap.
Okay, awesome. I think that's great advice. Well, thank you for all of your great insight on leadership within pharmacy school and just kind of the roles that you've taken on. But to kind of turn the corner before we wrap up the interview, I just want to discuss your longitudinal rotation that you're on. So I personally didn't know a ton about this rotation until you were applying, and I think that maybe more students would be interested in it if they knew a little bit more about it. So I guess just kind of tell me a little bit about the Froedtert longitudinal rotation, maybe the process of, before you were accepted, and then just kind of what you're doing now and what's to come in the future. I know that's like a loaded question, but just hit me with that information.
So it's definitely an interesting process, applying to the program and then being in the program. They set it up so that it's like a mini residency, which is really great, because moving forward, I will feel more prepared and confident, as will the other people in the program. So to apply to this program, you had to submit a letter of intent as well as letters of reference, and then have your CV sent in, as well as a phone interview. I did a phone interview because I was out of state. Obviously, Froedtert is in Wisconsin and I was in Iowa at the time, but I know that many students in Wisconsin who applied to the program had to do in-person interviews. Okay. So that kind of was like a mini residency program, because there are, or matching system, because there are other longitudinal programs and they try to match you as like a residency would. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Once being accepted, there are some responsibilities that go along with being in a longitudinal program. So obviously you do rotations at a site. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing 5 rotations in a row at Froedtert Hospital in Milwaukee. And this program specifically is really great. And I don't know about all programs because I'm in this one, so I can only attest to what they're doing. But we're assigned our own mini kind of residency project called a longitudinal APPE project that we work on during the entire course of the rotations that we're there. And then we have the opportunity to present on that research through a poster at a national conference. Okay. And we're also assigned a resident to do a project under. So we help them with their residency project. And we're also hired on as staff. So we work nights and some weekends outside of our rotations, which is nice too, because a little extra money never hurts anyone.
Yeah, for sure. Right. That sounds, there's, a lot going on with the rotation, but it sounds like all good experiences, things that will definitely benefit you, whether you're looking for a residency or not, but just in the future in general. It just sounds like a really good program. And I think that, just not enough awareness of the program, I guess. So I think it's good to let other students know about it.
Absolutely.
And so you said so you're doing the kind of maybe potentially the poster presentation, and that's at a national meeting. Is there a specific national meeting that you would present that at, or is it just kind of pick and choose?
It can be one of your choice. It's just a requirement of the LAPPE to present your final work.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really cool. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to add, or just any last comments today?
Definitely. So just to kind of sum up everything we talked about, be yourself, find your passion, and this will definitely lead to your success. Also, make sure to thank your friends and your mentors. I don't do this enough. because there never could be enough. I wouldn't be anywhere I was today, or I wouldn't have any of the leadership positions I've had without amazing friends and mentors and working on such amazing teams, because everyone who's involved in something is a leader, whether it's a big leader or a small leader, as we say. So it's really important to take a step back and appreciate the wonderful people you work with.
Yes, I agree to that. Well, again, thank you, Autumn, for joining me today on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders. Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook.